by miracle of sound. All right, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 3 of Tress of the Emerald Sea. We did chapters 28 to, 39 is what we did this week. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Darkness.
Hello.
And Mythic.
Hello.
All right, get a lot of good stuff this episode, so we'll start with chapter 28, The Extra Good Listener. So we start with Ulam explaining a kidney in a jar, or examining, a kidney in a jar, as he explains that Captain Crow is a gestator for the verdant aether. He says that people on Tress's planet call them spore eaters, but it isn't really quite a correct term for it. He also explains it as Captain Crow being a host to the verdant spore parasite. He asks Tress where the spores come from, and Tress replies that they come from the moons, but doesn't know anything more than that. He then asks Tress if she wants to trade for his kidney that's in the jar, as it makes her urine smell like lilac, but she rejects the offer. She also rejects just giving him one of hers when he says she doesn't need two, as she suspects he also has more than one, which he just replies touché to. Ulam then goes on about how the aethers on the moons around Tress's planet are aggressive and rampantly self-propagating, unlike the true aethers. He also mentions that each aether is connected to a primal element such as vegetation, atmosphere, silicate, etc. Not only that, but the aether spores they produce are highly reactive, and any time a catalyst, in this case water, comes in contact with them, they explosively germinate by pulling investiture straight from the spiritual realm. Ulam also admits he doesn't know how people become spore eaters, and it is technically possible that you do so by eating a strange spore. So what do you think about the differences between the aethers on the moons surrounding Tress's planet versus what Ulam calls the true aethers?
I mean, I think it's like a ramped up version, it sounds like, to be honest.
Sounds like they're a little less, in control of themselves.
True.
What do you think, Darkness, about the difference between these aethers and the true aethers?
So the aethers are what? The moons? Question mark?
The aethers are the creatures on the moons that produce the spores. They're kind of similar to shards in powers, I believe.
Okay. What about the true aethers?
So the true aethers, I think, are. So I guess if you'd consider the aethers here to be more like the shattered shards without vessels, and the true aethers are like shards with vessels, where they have more control themselves, whereas the fucked up shards on Cell and stuff, where they have their vessels are dead and they've been splintered. They're the investiture just does whatever, and I think that's what's happening here. So I think that's the kind of difference, and the best way to describe it in relation to the rest of the Cosmere stuff.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So Ulam then reveals that he has an extra ear growing on his arm, as apparently it was too annoying to have it on his leg. Ulam then moves on from that and mentions how the verdant aethers is likely sucking water from Captain Crow's body, along with others afflicted like her, to fuel the aether on the verdant moon. Ulam states that it is apparently painful and fatal to be infected by the spores. He also mentions a weird creation he has in a drawer with 7 faces that Tress just ignores as it rattles in the drawer. Tress then mentions that the vines protecting Captain Crow are likely why the crew doesn't bother trying to mutiny against her. She then asks how long Ulam thinks that Captain Crow has left before the aethers kill her. Ulam states that most people don't live more than a year, but she seems to have been holding on for quite a long time, so he suspects that she only has weeks or days left. So what do you think about how the irrational aethers are connecting with humans on Tress's planet to basically dehydrate them and get the water they want?
Wait, the irrational what?
So the aethers are my question is kind of what do you think about how these aethers are connecting with the humans to basically in order to gain access to water, because they don't have access to water on the moons?
Yeah. So that just makes me wonder what the fucking planet looked like pre-spores.
So my suspicion is that all of these islands are mountaintops.
Oh, and it's piled up?
It's piled up. Yeah. So there might be, or there used to be maybe it might have been more Earth-like event originally, with maybe like proper water and like oceans and like plains and everything. But the reason they only have these tiny clusters of islands isn't because it has no land, but because the spores have piled up so high that they're basically just living in mountains. And so like the bigger islands are like a range of mountains, and like the individual ones are probably more like inactive volcanoes and like individual mountains.
That makes sense, but that also means they already took a shit ton of water anyway.
But who knows how long ago that was, right? That could have been
So why do
thousands
they
of
need
years
so
ago.
much fucking water then?
Well, Ulam says they're like insatiable, so I'm assuming that there's something wrong with them that's causing them to just be like constantly desperate for water.
Huh.
There's like something wrong with them.
They're cursed. They're cursed.
They're
like
thirsty.
Everyone else in this world.
They're just super fucking thirsty. So Tress next asks about the midnight spores, causing Ulam to call for Hoyd and ask if he had given Tress midnight spores. Hoyd instantly replies that he didn't, but he did give them to the previous sprouter. Ulam sighs and asks and says that the midnight spores are a different type of dangerous. They feed on a host's water like they do for people at Captain Crow, but it is temporary instead of permanent. This allows the midnight spores to be controlled by the person germinating them and create midnight essence, which can take the shape of something else. He also states that if a creation is too big, it can get out of the person's control. So what do you think about this temporary connection that the midnight spores can make with a person?
I thought it was so cool. It's like
Yeah.
shadow clones.
It basically is shadow clones that dehydrate you.
Yeah.
Well, technically they do that anyway.
Do they? I didn't
Mhm.
watch Naruto.
It's more like they take.
you.
Yeah, it's more like they take energy in general.
They take a different thing from you then.
Yeah.
Also, it's probably been much too long, but I wanted to note that we have seen something called Midnight Essence before. In one of Dalinar's, or I think in the first flashback we see with Dalinar on Roshar in Stormlight, he has a thing where he's in like this random little village, and he's like protecting a kid in a barn from this inky black dog-like creature.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep. And so, and they call it Midnight Essence because he's like, "Is this a Voidbringer?" And they're like, "No, it's I think to one of the Radiants or something in the vision." And they're like, "No, that's just Midnight Essence." So, how do you think that Midnight Essence or these Midnight Spores got to Roshar?
Same way every other person gets to Roshar through a perpendicularity.
Do you think someone's like brought them and like was using them? I mean, they obviously were probably being used by the Voidbringers. It seems like just they weren't Voidbringers themselves. The Midnight Essence.
Well, yeah, because like we do have
Contra?
no, we do have proof that people from that world can go to the other ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Because of that one dude from Mistborn with the pink
Felt.
crystals.
Oh, with the crystals?
Yeah, the old man. I can't remember his name. Right? What's who you're
Yeah.
talking about? The guy who
blanking?
has.
Yeah, the one with the mech suit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. From Mistborn.
Yes, I said.
I totally somehow missed you saying Mistborn. Yeah, Twin Soul.
Yeah, him. So we know they can get out of the planet and go to others, so I'm not that surprised.
Yeah. Twin Soul is connected to one of the true Aethers instead of one of these like insatiable Aethers, though. Like he's able to control it, and he's not like constantly on the verge of death and dehydration.
Is that like, how do I say it? Is that like based on the spore and the moon they're on, or is it multiple in one moon?
So I believe it sounds like each Aether's on a specific moon, and they're doing something up there that's like constantly producing these spores. And because they're constantly producing these spores, they're constantly just like super in need of water and like desperate to connect with the humans down below to get water.
Right. But I'm asking, like, you know how you were like, oh, he's connected to a true Aether or whatever, right?
Yeah, so it sounds like there's multiple versions of each Aether. So there's like a rose-based Aether here on one of Tress's moons, and then there's another rose Aether that's like a true Aether somewhere else. Who knows if there's multiple of them? We don't know. I'm going to be honest, I don't know. They don't give us that answer in this book, how many Aethers there are of each type. But there's another one that's not like completely all fucked up like the one here. So he's not from like this moon on Tress's planet. He's from somewhere else that also has aethers.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So Hoyt then makes a remark about trying to strain pasta with socks, which Ulam writes down. When Tress looks at him with confusion, he states that he's writing down the most embarrassing lines to torment Hoyd with for decades after. And Hoyd,
And then Hoyt says, which he did.
does. Yeah, he did do that, apparently. Tress ponders about how she can get Hoyd to tell her how to get to the sorceress, and Hoyd somehow gets out a hint that Tress needs to speak to a talking animal. When Tress understands, he flops down in relief and falls back into his mindlessness. Ulam goes on about how Hoyd must be talking about a familiar. He also says that those tales on his planet are often due to his people, which makes sense. Like, if people come across talking animals, such as Tensoon, it's probably a Khandra. And then he also talks about how there's also things like awakening that can be considered, people will confuse as familiars, which is what we kind of saw when, like, they used, when Vasher used the dead squirrel, or, no, sorry, Lightsong used the dead squirrel, to, like, wander around. So, like, they can also, you can reanimate animal corpses. So he mentions that as another way that are not true familiars, but people confuse as familiars. But he thinks that there's nothing similar to Awakening or Khandra on Tress's planet, so it's likely the sorceress maybe has been using investiture on common animals to make them more sentient. Tress is very confused and asks if Ulam is speaking Clesian, which is apparently the language she speaks, because he's just all the words he's saying make no sense to her. And Ulam says that he technically is, but he's using connection to convert his language into hers. Tress then hurries off to go find Huck.
I said, connection.
Yes. So do you think Hoyd was mentioning talking animals because he has seen Huck, or just because he thinks familiars could be helpful to her?
I think it's because familiars could be helpful, but to be honest, he's telling the story, so I don't know.
What do you think, Darkness? Do you think he's actually seen Huck, or do you think he's just like,
Yeah,
hey, familiars?
I wouldn't be surprised if he knew.
Wow.
That sounded like a cow mooing in the background.
It was a car.
It was a what?
What? A car.
A car.
Oh, a car. I don't know why it sounded like a moo. I was like, what the fuck?
My bad. Betsy, be quiet!
Darkness just moved to a farm recently, that's all.
I'm living my Stardew Valley life.
So then we get chapter 29, The Familiar. Tress hurries into her room and tells Huck that he's been lying to her. He looks like he wants to hide before she accuses him of being a familiar. Huck slowly agrees with that and says he didn't want to tell her because Tress shouldn't have anything to do with the sorceress. Tress demands that he tell her everything he knows about the sorceress, otherwise she'll stop talking to him. Huck says that she would be a terrible pirate since if that's the worst she's willing to threaten. Huck then admits he isn't actually a familiar, but that breaking Hoyd's curse is the best way to find the sorceress's island. He states that the curse is static like a contract and that there are always holes to it, such as a person not being able to respond when someone asks if they are cursed. Huck also mentions that the person who is cursed knows how to break their curse, but they are unable to say anything about it. Huck is also unable to say how to get to the sorceress's island. So what do you think Huck is, if not a proper familiar?
A Khandra.
Annoying, that's what he is.
He's trying his best.
No, I hate it when they don't give straight answers. Like,
I mean, he tries to, and then he's like, I can't tell you about how to get to the sorcerer's island, sorry.
Oh yeah, where was the part where he tried?
I'm pretty sure it says that what chapter is this again?
Maybe he acted like he tried, but he
Chapter
definitely
29.
did not.
So it says, can you guide me to the sorcerer's island? He considered them again to speak, but cut off. He rubbed his head with his paw. No, he said, I can't, Tress. So like he looks like he's gonna speak, and then he just like can't speak. And then he's just like, I can't tell you. I'm not a familiar. Well, I guess I kind of am, but on the way you're thinking. I grew up on a lonely island far, far from the sorceress's realm. And then after, when she says, can you help me break Hoyd's curse, he says, maybe. I'm not supposed to talk about this, but as long as it's about Hoyd, all right, so here's the problem. And then he goes on to which I'll summarize more later on.
So what, is he cursed, but he's just not cursed by the fucking witch or something?
Maybe.
Or maybe his ancestors were cursed and it got passed down.
Seems like he specifically can't say certain things. So Huck then mentions that she might be able to talk to someone who is cursed about a story of someone else who is cursed, and then ask the cursed person to talk about that story. Since it isn't about the cursed person specifically, they might be able to give information about curses from the sorceress in general. Tress says that is very confusing, and Huck agrees, but says it's the only thing he can think of. Tress says that she thinks she'll need Huck to spy on the captain some more, but Huck is worried about that since he was spotted last time and the cat is around now. So what do you think about Huck's idea for getting information out of Hoyd by being like, if you talk about a story about someone else who's cursed?
It's a good idea.
I mean, Hoyd does love stories, right?
He does love
Mhm.
stories.
Wonder why.
So Tress begins thinking about how Ulam had mentioned that the midnight spores were good for spying. However, her thoughts are interrupted by Sally knocking on her door. When Tress answers, Sally states they need to talk about who Tress really is. So then we just go straight into chapter 30, The King's Mask. And Tress invites Sally into her room, and Sally bravely steps into the room and shuts the door behind her. Tress offers Sally some tea, but Sally declines. Tress insists that she's just a girl who's trying not to get thrown overboard, but Sally does not believe her and thinks she is lying, and she's actually an inspector who is pretending to be someone pretending to be an inspector. Sally then asks why she stayed on board when she could have left, and Tress replies that she was worried about the rest of the crew. So what did you think about Sally's first theory about Tress being an inspector in disguise as a person being in disguise as an inspector?
That's wrong. She's a mask.
She's obviously a king's mask. What did you think about that convoluted idea, Mythic?
I think she's a King's Mask.
Okay.
Pretty good. They convinced me, to be honest.
So Sally then brings up the cannonballs and how she knows that Laggart seemed upset that the cannonballs hadn't properly sunk the other ship. Tress freezes as she's worried that the captain and Laggart have also figured out that she was the one who messed with the cannonballs. Tress admits that she figured out the captain was trying to kill people, so she switched the cannonballs. But Sally doesn't believe that a simple girl like Tress claims to be would have figured out that so easily and quickly. Tress also mentions where Laggard keeps the sabotaged cannonballs and how she switched them out. Sally then mentions a meeting she's having with Fort and Anne tonight, before stating that Tress tricked her into mentioning the secret meeting. Tress just sighs, and Sally insists that Tress is actually a king's mask, and not just a royal inspector. Tress has no idea what that even is, as Sally tells her to come to the meeting tonight. Huck comes out and jokes about Tress being a king's mask, which he explains is a secret group that the king has to carry out important missions. They apparently also drink youth potions to stay unassuming. Huck also thinks they could just be a rumor and that the king perpetuates to keep people scared of him. So do you think that there actually are people who are king's masks, or do you think that's just all a rumor?
I think there are King's Masks for sure.
Mm.
You mean the Anbu? Yeah.
The what?
Oh my god. I forget you don't know that stuff.
Blue Black Ops.
Yeah.
From
Essentially it's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys both think they're real? Do you think we'll see one then at some point in this book?
Probably. Well, we know they're a fucking mask. I have no idea. That's the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can't tell you, because if they tell you, they'd have to kill you.
Fuck, if I know there's already a mask on the ship and they just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. It's my assumption is it's either obviously going to be her, like she made this big scene about, and like we don't even get to know that as the people reading it, or the person who accused her of being a mask. I also think could be a mask.
Or you think Sally could be?
Yeah, just because she's so like unassuming, right? Which is what I would assume a spy for the king would probably be.
You don't think Anne the Terrible Shot is a king's mask?
Could be too. I mean, I feel like King's Mask wouldn't even know their own King's Mask, so.
I feel like she's just blind. Like she needs some glasses.
I think she does just need glasses.
Yeah.
It's like you alright,
She's got
Anne?
double vision or something, bro. Like
she's struggling out here. So Huck then tells Tress not to go to the meeting because he thinks the captain knows about it and is likely wanting to kill the three that are suspicious of her. Tress then says she needs to find out more about Captain Crow, which makes Huck nervous, and she feels guilty for putting him in danger. Instead, she takes up the midnight spores, which also makes Huck nervous. He says she should not start with something so dangerous, and also mentions a race that is 40 miles long, which Tress thinks is an incredible distance. Huck replies that not every island is as small as the island that she's from. Tress then takes out 3 midnight black spores and places them on the bed. She thinks of Charlie as she uses an eyedropper to drop a bit of water onto the spores. So were you worried about Tress experimenting with the midnight spores?
Nah.
Honestly, not really.
Thought it would all be good?
I expected something worse to happen. Only because I thought when when she picked up the eye drop,
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was gonna pour some in her.
Oh, jeez.
So I was like,
Also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I thought she was gonna be like the fucking captain. So
Yeah.
I was like, what? Which, which I don't believe is like off the table yet.
Mm.
Oh yeah, so you don't think you think she might be a host?
Yeah, can you imagine like
Yeah.
she actually like does a fucking 1,000 shadow clones like,
That'd be
Mhm.
crazy.
and then she like dies from dehydration.
So then we go to chapter 31, The Midnight Essence. We start with a narration from Hoyd about how midnight spores work more like how the actual aethers are supposed to, and they create a symbiotic relationship. Hoyd calls this the Luhel bond, which is different from the Nahel bond. The Nahel bond trades consciousness for an anchoring in reality. The Luhel bond trades in physical matter, and in this case, water. Tress feels a dryness in her mouth as she watches the spores bubble up and become a pile of goo the size of her fist. So I wanted to note here, I don't remember if it's called this yet in the books for you guys, but the Nahel bond is the name of the bond between a Spren and their Radiant. So that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Hoyd's
yeah,
referring to here.
yeah. We
Is
went over that.
okay. I couldn't remember if that was in the first two books or if that's something that gets like given a name later on.
I don't know if you
So,
spoiled it or not, but we've talked about it before.
I don't think. I mean, if I had said the name of the bond, I don't think it would have been a spoiler. I think it would have come up in the books. I don't think I would
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
used the word Nahel bond if it hadn't been actually spoken into text. I would have just kind
Well,
of
I
like
don't know about that.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not good at
either.
remembering the word Nahel bond, which is why I'm like I don't think I would have used it.
I
Well,
don't
it's because we were
know.
talking. I'm pretty sure we were talking about the bonds themselves. So you're like, oh yeah, this specific bond.
mm. But
I
yeah,
think, yeah, I think we were talking about like the bond between the Spren and like the actual people there and the crab people.
yeah, but it is specifically explained in Stormlight. That's why I'm like it may have been like specifically like mentioned in Stormlight, and I did like a further explanation.
Uh,
Um, but yeah. So what did you think though about the difference between the Nahel and the Luhel bonds?
These bonds are getting extensive.
what was the difference again?
So the Nahel bond, you get abilities from the Spren, and the Spren gets to be like given better sentience and like they get to be drawn into the physical realm. The Luhel bond is you get abilities from the Aethers, and they get water, which is like their like life source.
Huh.
So it's slightly different in the fact that the Spren don't need a Nahel bond because they can just chill in the cognitive realm. They don't need to do that. The Luhel bond seems like it's more something that the actual Aethers need. Not as much as the ones on Tress's planet do, but like it seems like even the true Aethers do need Luhel bonds to get access to like water and other things that like sustain them.
That's so weird. So I'm just like wondering what happens at total dehydration for them.
Yeah, I have no idea. As I said, like we get like little bits of information, but there's very obviously so much more about the Aethers that like they just aren't explained in this book because we don't get to like go to see the true Aethers or anything. Like the we only get little bits from. We obviously get a lot more in this book than we do from Mistborn. But it's still like I want more information.
Right.
Also, do you think that there are other bonds besides the Nahel and Luhel bond? Like, do you think we're going to see other
Yes.
types of bonds? Yeah.
100%.
Do you agree, Mythic? Do you think there's going to be other types of these bonds?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Maybe there'll be 16. Who knows?
Absolutely not. I'm not keeping track of all that.
So the Midnight Spores then speak into Tress's mind, asking for a trade for water. Tress agrees, and the Midnight Essence takes the shape of almost a rat. Tress drinks down her whole water skin, and instantly she is seeing through the eyes of the Not Rat. She becomes the Not Rat and runs out of the room and to the upper deck, enjoying the shadows and jumping over the lines of silver. The Midnight Essence isn't affected by mere proximity to the silver like regular spores are. So what do you think about how the Midnight Spores work? They create this like these little creatures, and like you basically like see through them and control them, like
It's like a
almost
puppet.
become them. Yeah.
Because they said that there was, still like a fucking string of darkness or something come out of her mouth, right?
Yeah, Huck later says like I was like worried because there was like this black smoky like string coming out of your mouth, and he was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. That's not looking good.
I'm surprised he doesn't know, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you think about how the spores work?
I mean, I think it's just they're really cool, to be honest. Makes me really want to see all of the spores
I
in like
know, right?
cohesion with each other.
I want to see all the spores too. I was so sad we don't get to see all the spores. I was like, why? Show me more of them. I need to know all 12. So eventually she gets into the captain's cabin, but realizes she should have waited until Crow was meeting with Laggart. The captain is currently writing in a book, and Tress wants to see the book, but she'd have to get too close to the captain to read it. She wanted to look at it now, but she held herself back until evening mess was called and the captain left the room. When she has the book open, she struggles to force herself to read, the eyes of the Midnight Essence getting larger to make out the details. It discusses a potential way to get rid of the spores infesting the captain by someone called Zizis. Tress struggles to keep control over the Midnight Essence, but eventually she's able to flip through the book, looking for more information. She finds the full name of Zizis, which is Zizirefliel, and they live beneath the spores in the Crimson Sea. His age is unknown, but as of the writing of the book, he has lived there for over 300 years. It also notes that the existence of Zizis is definitely real and that Zizis is a dragon, although the writer has not found Zizis' palace under the Crimson Sea. So what do you think about this person claiming there is an actual dragon on Tress's planet?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. So,
It'd be funny
Hmm.
if it's a bunch of Kandra put together.
Just a bunch of Kandra. Because I know we talked about last time where we're like, do we think it's really a dragon, or just like they're kind of just calling something a dragon? You guys were like, nah, it's not a real dragon. This person's being like, it's a fucking real dragon. And
Well,
Ulam
how
later
would
is
they know it's
also
a real
like,
dragon?
it's a fucking real dragon. That's what they're all saying. They're like, this is a fucking real dragon. We're gonna meet a dragon potentially.
Nah. What makes them say that? Have they seen another dragon to compare? The fuck?
So
yeah,
that's
what if it's just a
part of
drake or a worm?
That's part of one of my other questions is, do you think there are other dragons on other planets?
That'd be awesome.
I think if there's one dragon, there's probably plenty.
So there are 2 other dragons.
Yep, I knew she was going to tell us.
That have been mentioned but not fully mentioned as a dragon yet. So there is... So Hoyd writes letters back and forth with someone in the first 2 books of Stormlight in the epigraphs. Remember, there's a person named Frost who's apparently in charge of the 17th Shard, and he's like, hey, stop sending them after me. Can you, like, fucking leave it alone? Frost is a dragon.
Okay. How do we know that? How do you know that?
So that is from the like not fully canon, but going to be rewritten as canon book about Yolen. So apparently there are a bunch of dragons also on Yolen, and that's where Frost is from. And I believe he might still be on Yolen. I'm not 100% sure. So Frost is a dragon.
Dragons came from Yolen.
Both dragons and humans apparently came from Yolen. And also, Cultivation's vessel is a dragon.
Oh, that's great.
So the vessel, the Shard Cultivation is being run by a dragon named, I believe it's Corvellium Avast. So yes.
Wow.
So there's 3 confirmed
More
dragons.
Baby dragons.
So yeah, so I think I might have... Either I accidentally or like specifically didn't show you a picture of Hoyd because it shows a picture of the dragon Frost in the background. Let me see if I can find it. So so this is a picture that we got on a bookmark with some of the secret project boxes, and this is like Hoyd doing like a light weaving of Frost.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, he's got his flute back too.
Yeah, so he's just got a whole bunch. This is kind of just like they've got a whole bunch of stuff around him.
Hoyd can light weave?
Yeah, so remember there's Yolish light
Hoyd can
weaving.
do literally everything. Hoyd does everything.
Well, he can't be an Elantris, can he?
Apparently, he cannot be an
Well,
Elantrian now.
find out. He might find a way.
Here's another picture that someone has drawn with Hoyd and Frost. So yeah, Hoyd has dragon
So it's
friends.
just a fucking dragon. Okay.
Yeah, he's just straight up a fucking dragon.
Well, it confirms that dragons exist.
Yes, dragons do
So, like-
exist.
I hate this. I hate this.
Why?
It just gives me more unnecessary shit to think about.
Yeah, so I believe
Like,
Frost is supposed
are
to be
they
like a white dragon.
specifically from one world, and they like move to others, or
I
like are they
believe
originally like?
so? I believe, because I mean we know that Cultivation's vessel is from Yolan because she's still the original vessel. And so I don't remember if they say like any. I think it might come up later. I don't remember if they say if Zizus is specifically from Yolan, but I do know that they say both Frost is definitely originally from Yolan and Cultivation is definitely originally from Yolan because she was there when like during the Shattering and everything. So like at least 2 of the 3 dragons are 100% confirmed as from Yolan. And I'm assuming, but I don't fully remember if Zizus is confirmed from Yolan. But I think that's where dragons are from.
Where the fuck is Yolan?
They don't know anymore.
Oh, it's the first
hidden.
planet, right?
Yeah, it's the first planet. It's where Adonasium was, and where the Shattering
Yeah,
happened.
okay, cool.
And it's been hidden ever since. So then we'll go back to our story. So Tress realizes that Crow wants to get to Zizus to cure herself of her spore affliction, which is why she wants to go to the Crimson Sea. Tress again begins struggling with the Midnight Essence as she hears footsteps in the lock turning. Eventually her connection with the Midnight Essence is cut, and Tress feels her own body again. Her hands are withered, and she can't feel her tongue. Huck is panicking as he tells her that blackness was coming out of her mouth, and he had used the silver knife to stop it. He then gets her a second water skin when she asks for it, and she downs it quickly, even though it's painful to drink. So what do you think about the captain's reasoning for wanting to get to the Crimson Sea?
Oh, to go find the dragon, they will cure her? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like what do you think
Yeah,
about the
okay.
captain's whole like thing?
Great idea. Do it. Just don't give up Tress for it.
Give up Laggert. Who cares about Laggert?
Exactly.
What do you think, Darkness?
No,
about...
give up the Khandra. Khandra is the only we need to give up.
Yeah, what do you think about the captain's plan, Darkness? About like I'm gonna make them dead runners, so we have to go into the Crimson Sea, and then I'm gonna find the fucking dragon and cure myself.
I don't know about cure.
You don't think he'll actually cure her?
Maybe, but like, I mean, it's gonna. I feel like it's gonna come at a cost other than her than Tress. Like maybe he'll cure her from that specific thing, but it's not gonna be a cure all. You know.
You think there's gonna be something else wrong with her?
Either that or like I cured you. You're mine now.
Oh damn!
Work for me.
Also, what do you think about Tress almost dying from using the Midnight Spores?
I mean,
She just needs practice.
yeah, exactly.
It always hits the hardest the first time, you know.
I see. She's just doing some drugs. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which we went over this. You know, this world is just literally full of drugs.
Yeah. Hoyt the narrator then notes that Tress is able to rehydrate herself past what would normally be possible due to the abnormal way she was dehydrated. As Tress collapses onto the bed, she worries that the captain will find evidence of the midnight spores on her desk. Tress then reassures Huck that she's okay and thanks him for saving her life, although she feels a horrible headache coming. She thinks that it's best not to deal too much with the midnight spores. Tress thinks back about what she had read and thinks that Huck had been wrong about the captain knowing about Saleh, Anne, and Fort being onto her. Instead, she thinks the captain had been speaking about her secret meetings with the previous Sprouter. Tress then takes a long, luxurious bath before getting ready to meet with the others. She wonders if they'll be disappointed when they find out she isn't a king's mask. So do you think the captain knows that Anne, Fort, and Saleh are against her, or do you agree that with Tress that maybe she doesn't know?
Oh no, she knows. I wouldn't be surprised if those fucking vines grew ears.
I mean, if she needs one, I'm sure Ulam could give her some extra ears.
Well, like, so when Tress used the black spores, right?
Mhm.
She said it it spoke to her, right?
Yeah, so like she heard like a voice in her head asking for her to like confirm the deal.
Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm assuming I'm assuming the captain has more of a connection to whatever the fuck gave her that, right?
Yeah.
So like what stops whatever that thing is from like having a little what's his name? A little wax says moment, you know?
Mm.
Like I don't pick favorites, but like here, have everything you need, every information you need.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely sounds like that's more possible with the true Aethers. It's Ulam's description of these Aethers seems like they're so like um
Out of
what's
it.
the right word? Yeah, they're like
Crazy.
super out of it and like so
I think
obsessed with like getting more water that like they're a little less like of sound mind than they should be. Which is why they keep like killing their hosts instead of like being like, oh yeah, it makes more sense to keep them alive so we can keep getting water. But they're so
hmm
desperate for more water that they eventually kill the host.
Yeah, but that also makes you think, right? Because the guy is like saying, "Oh, um, she's lasting longer than she should."
Yeah.
So what if she's just connected to an actual one? Like that's not crazy.
I mean, he also does say though that like she's drinking it, like she's apparently like basically constantly drinking to keep this thing fed. Like he's like he's like she's lasted longer than expected, but also like with the amount of water she's drinking on a daily basis, I doubt that she's like gonna last much longer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's new to it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe the Verdant Aether is like slightly more sane than the others or something. Like maybe she's doing slightly better because she's connected to the Verdant one. Like we don't know at the moment. Uh Maybe Tress will talk to Crow at some point about it. But yeah, so then we get chapter 32 of The Liberator. As soon as Tress enters the room for the secret meeting, Sally tells Fort and Anne that Tress is their liberator and that she is a king's mask. Anne and Fort don't agree at first, but Sally continues to insist that all the fearless things Tress has done is because she is a king's mask. Tress tries to deny it, but Fort and Anne both agree that she is suspicious with all the things she has done. The three of them then discuss whether Tress would kill them or not if she was a king's mask, since she is part of Crow's ship of dead runners, although Sally is hopeful that if Tress were a king's mask, she would know they've been trying to go against Crow. Tress sees their hope and can't just keep denying being a mask and destroy their hopes like that. Instead, she just changes the subject. Tress brings out one of the sabotage cannonballs, mentioning where she had gotten it from. Fort takes it and begins inspecting it, and taking it apart. Inside the cannonball, instead of a charge with Zephyr's spores, was lead shot. This proves to Fort and Anne that the captain was trying to make them dead runners on purpose. Fort then asks why the captain would want to make them dead runners, and Tress replies that she just wants the crew loyal to her and unlikely to leave the ship. Her overhearing Crow's plans with Laggart just makes her more likely to be a king's mask to the others. Fort then suggests trying to convince the captain to go to a less populated sea so that they won't be as likely to run into innocent people. Tress says that should be pretty easy, but the others don't think so, and say that Tress is the only one who would be able to convince her. Tress wants to explain to the others why it would be easy to get the captain to sail to the Crimson Sea, but she thinks her explanation will just make them more likely to think that she's a king's mask. Instead, she just agrees to convince the captain. So what do you think about Tress sharing information with the others, but not everything, because she's like, this is just going to make them more suspicious of me?
She should have.
Yeah, I agree.
It would have been hilarious.
Be like, yeah, so I used midnight spores to go spy on her and read her notebook about how she wants to cure herself of like her spore affliction and like she wants to go see the dragon that's under the Crimson Sea.
Under the sea.
Are dragons mermaids? That's the true question.
Giants can be whatever the fuck they want. They're giants.
What do you think, Mythic, about her just being like, yeah, I'm just gonna not keep talking.
I mean, yeah, very smart. Like, she was kind of talking too much.
So Tristan tells the others to focus on trying to get the ship back from the captain, and Fort says that will be impossible given the captain's affliction with spores, but Tress tells them to assume she won't have that affliction for much longer.
which
they're
is
like, the fuck?
hilarious.
Yeah. Tress is then ushered out of the room, and Sally makes Tress promise that if she has a chance to speak to the king on their behalf, that she'll tell him that they did everything they could to stop the captain. So what do you think about them putting all of their hope into Tress being someone super important and able to save them from being dead runners?
Oh my god!
Foolish.
It's the fact that she denied all the other information that she could have given them because she didn't want it to seem like she was a mask. But she goes on and says, "Yeah, she won't be afflicted by that for too long."
Let's just assume that'll go away soon. And they're like, excuse me?
Yeah, because the mask wouldn't know how to get rid of that, right?
I feel like why not just tell them that, like, hey, it doesn't seem sustainable. She's probably, like, Ulam said she's probably just gonna die soon, so. Like, at least tell them that. So chapter 33, The Liar. Tress goes up to the top deck to see the captain. The seas had just stopped, and the captain was drinking water while staring out at the Spore oceans and the moon. Tress doesn't speak at first, not wanting to interrupt the captain while she was drinking. The captain asks Tress why she is out traveling on ships, and Tress replies that she just wants to see the world. The captain seems disappointed, and Tress eventually states that she needs to go to see the sorceress to get someone back from her, which shocks the captain. Tress then half lies and half tells the truth as she says that she wants the ship to take her to the Midnight Sea, but they'd have to start with the Crimson Sea first. She asks Crow if she'd agree to go to the Crimson Sea if Tress got the crew on board with the idea. Crow doesn't believe that Tress will be able to convince the crew to go to the Crimson Sea, but agrees that if she can, they will go. Tress also goes on about how the ships in the Crimson Sea must have valuable loot if they are willing to travel a dangerous sea, so that she doesn't give away what she knows about Crow wanting to go there. So what did you think about Tress's conversation with Crow here?
Pro interrogation.
It seemed way too easy in my opinion, but yeah.
I mean, she knew that Crow was, like, really wanting to go there anyway, so, like, her whole thing was just like, I definitely don't know that why you want to go there. It's definitely for loot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we get chapter 34, The Tosher. Hoyd starts us off with a story from Tress's planet about a man who worked for the king as a person who went through the sewage to make sure nothing was lost in it. Which sounds like the best job ever. The Tosher loved potatoes and often had 2 baked potatoes for dinner. However, one day the menu for servants was switched to cornbread, and the Tosher hated cornbread. And after a while of having to constantly eat cornbread, he goes to the cook to try to get the menu changed back. However, the cook states that the butler decides the menu. The Tosher then goes to the butler, but the butler says the Minister of Trade stopped giving them potatoes, so they no longer had potatoes to give to the servants. The Tosher then goes to see the Minister of Trade after getting their ring out of the sewage for them. The Minister of Trade, however, states that the king had mandated that the servants only be fed corn from now on, which is why they had stopped providing potatoes to the butler. The Tosher then meets with the king by standing in the sewage room under the toilets while the king is up on the toilet. He asks for potatoes again, but the king replies that pests have ruined the potato crop, so he can't give them potatoes. He also mentions that because the Tosher had started asking for 2 potatoes instead of 1, all the servants started wanting 2 potatoes. The potato demand went up so high that potatoes became super expensive, and even before the crop was ruined, the king could no longer afford to keep buying so many potatoes for all the servants. So what did you think about Hoyd's story of the Tosher?
At first, I thought it was just going to be some offhand story that meant nothing. Like whatever Jack.
Like Almanzor Jack?
Yeah, whatever Jack. Mm-hmm.
Now, Hoyd's stories always are supposed to have, like, a lesson
Meaning.
for the character that they're talking to.
Yeah, I'm wondering who he's talking to. Like, who is the
Well, he says this
character?
is supposed to be a lesson that Tress learns here, is that
Yeah, but
your
I'm saying,
actions have
who is he
consequences.
currently talking to?
We
while he's
discussed it
reading
last
this story?
episode that he's likely speaking to people on First of the Sun because he mentions ABRs to them.
Mm.
What did you think about the story, Darkness?
You mean chickens?
No, that's only on Roshar. They're ABRs.
No, they're all chickens. They're all chickens. They're the Cosmere. They're all chickens.
I would have still fucking fought for those potatoes.
You would have what for the potatoes?
Fought for the
Oh,
potatoes.
fought for those potatoes.
I want my starch.
Honestly, those potatoes.
He wanted those lard-covered potatoes, but he made the potatoes too expensive. Instead, he got
Supply and
cornbread.
demand.
Potato
which he
X that won't hurt nobody.
hates. So Hoyt states that the takeaway from the story is that even small actions have consequences, and you can't choose the consequences that come from your actions. Tress feels uncomfortable as she walks away from the captain. She then hurries over to Ulam to ask him more about the midnight spores, and he ushers her into her room to talk. Tress asks Ulam if the spores leave anything behind if the spell is interrupted. Ulam insists it's not a spell, and then goes on to tell Tress that the midnight essence evaporates quickly into black smoke once the connection is broken. Tress explains how she had persuaded Crow to go to the Crimson Sea, even though Crow already wanted to go there. She says that maybe once they are there, they can get Crow healed, and then Crow will no longer have a reason to sink other ships and kill people. Then Tress is halfway to getting to the sorceress and saving Charlie. Ulam, however, brings up a concern about Tress's plan to get Crow cured by Xezus. He doesn't offer boons; he offers trades. Usually, he
Why
wants
didn't
to.
she just ask Xezus to free her, you know, not boyfriend?
Hey, can you get me Charlie back? I'll trade you
Exactly.
Laggert.
I'll trade you Crow.
Fair. But yeah, so usually he wants to trade healing for a servant to stay with him. A servant who isn't afraid of spores. Tress
She's
realizes why.
obviously not afraid of spores.
Yeah, that's true. She's got them inside of her. So yeah, Tress realizes why Crow had been asking her previously about whether she was afraid of spores or not. As the thieves starts again, Tress hears Crow calling to go to a port for supplies, as they'll be going on a journey soon without ports. Tress realizes she has basically given herself to Crow to trade to the dragon to be healed. So yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about Tress being Crow's present to Xezus?
Give up Crow, get your boyfriend back, end the story.
Tress is starting to believe
Annoy
she's
you?
someone in life when she's not.
Everyone keeps telling her she's someone. She's like, I don't think so. They're like, yes, you are. And she's like, I guess I
You're a
am.
king's mask, you're an investigator, you're everything in the world but nothing at all. It's crazy.
Flash and be like, "You're the sorceress, aren't you?"
Oh god. Yeah, I mean they
The
make
sorceress cursed
probably
herself to not know who she is.
that could happen, right?
Could be.
Could be a possibility.
Maybe
Can
I've
you put a
just
curse on
spoiled the
yourself?
whole story for you. You'll never know until the end.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, what the fuck, Midnight?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, what the
What
fuck?
the fuck, Midnight of the Midnight Sea?
I am of the Midnight Sea.
You are the Midnight Sea.
I am the Midnight Aether. That's
The
why
Midnight
everyone
Moon.
drowns me with hydrates during streams.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that makes so much
That's
sense.
You guys are all the spore eaters giving me all the water.
You
You gotta rebrand now.
I do gotta rebrand as the Midnight Aether. Oh my gosh. So yes. Chapter 35, The Lover of Tea, which is the first chapter of part 5. So Tress spends the next 3 days as she trying to figure out a way to escape the next port. However, she wonders if she can really run when Charlie did so much for her and never ran when being sent to the sorceress because he refused to marry the other girls over Tress. Plus, Hoyt was her best chance of finding a way to the sorceress, and she didn't want to abandon her friends that were part of this crew. As the ship gets to a port, Tress stares out and thinks about her different options. Hoyt also wanders past wearing black slacks and white athletic socks, which narrator Hoyt is very ashamed of. Legert then comes over to Tress before she can decide if she's going to leave the ship and tells her that the captain wants to see her in her cabin. Tress sighs and goes to see Crow. Once inside the cabin, Tress mentions to the captain that she was planning to go ashore for a bit, but the captain insists that Tress will not, and instead spend the time at port with her here. Tress realizes the captain is keeping a close eye on the person she is going to trade for her healing. So what do you think about Crow not giving Tress a chance to escape the ship?
Exactly. I mean, I knew that was going to happen the moment she was like, I gotta get away, I gotta run. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, because that's going to happen.
What do you think, Darkness, about Crow being like, absolutely not, you're not leaving my sight?
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, go on a date with me. The fuck?
Yeah, let's go out on the town together. Yeah.
To like a
Right.
lake or something.
Like, I still gotta
Be
go out
surrounded by
there
water.
and do so.
Crow's favorite dates are swimming dates.
Oh, I bet.
So Crow then mentions how people who are cautious with their lives
All I'm imagining now is them going on like an actual date, going to like a restaurant, and then Tress being like, "Yeah, can we get like the largest pitcher of water?"
Can we get like 5 pitchers of water? Crow's just downing them between every bite of food.
Exactly. Just chugging.
1 bite of food, 1 liter of water. 2 bites of food, 2 liters of water. But yeah, so Crow mentions how people who are cautious of their lives spend their years not truly living, but Tress states that many normal people live meaningful lives. Crow compares herself to the gods of their moons and how she has killed indiscriminately just like they do. She also mentions that she knows that Tress is the one that switched the sabotaged cannonballs out for proper cannonballs, although she says that Laggert hadn't figured it out yet. So what do you think about Crow finding out about the cannonball switch?
I mean, I assumed she was going to be honest. And she realized that it didn't work.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Darkness?
Where did what's her name? Where did Tress even put the sabotage ones?
Remember she had like a bag for all the Zephyr spores, and she had the regular cannonballs in there, and she switched them for the sabotage ones, and then brought them back to her room. So I think she just has them in her room.
In her room.
Yeah.
Which is totally not dangerous at all.
Yeah, because remember she brings one to the meeting at one point to show Fort so that he can dissect. So like she just has them hanging out in a bag in her room.
Yeah, I'm not surprised she knows.
Also, as I was reading that paragraph, I just thought of like how I said like, oh, they should go to a date to go swimming, and I just imagine them in like a lake, and Crow's face down, just slurping up the lake water,
Yeah.
just like draining the lake of all of the water.
How does it just burst out of her body though? Like,
I think it like magically transports to the Aether through like this special Luhel bond.
they should just like send those people to like other worlds and just have them slurp up the whole fucking ocean.
Right? Just have them like sit in the oceans.
Wait. Wouldn't that mean that their oceans would have had to been like freshwater? Like, not like.
I don't know if fresh versus salt water matters.
I think
Well, it's salt versus spores.
Oh, I see. I mean, it's still liquid enough.
Yes, but it's salt. It's so much salt.
They just somehow desalinate the water as they absorb it.
That.
Instead of dying from dehydration, you die from like fucking sodium overdose.
No, you don't understand. What I'm saying is like when the moons got there, like when like the spores got there, right? And they absorbed all the water from that planet. If it was like Earth, then all that ocean water was salt water.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the spores not just like fucking die?
I'm
instead of absorbing the water?
Assuming as they started coating the ocean, they like some would die and some would like absorb, like germinate from it. I'm assuming it was like a weird like germinate die over time.
That's
Or maybe there's just oceans way down deep.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's just like a layer of like, dead spores.
Yeah, protecting it from like Wow, good idea, Midnight. You thought of that by yourself?
Wow, thank you. I appreciate the praise. So Crow then asks if Tress really thinks she can save Charlie from the sorceress, and Tress replies she didn't just do this for Charlie, but also to keep the crew from truly becoming dead runners. Crow laughs at this as she realizes how little knowledge Tress has of the Crimson Sea. She explains that although the spores create large red spikes, the true danger is the random rains that are common in the Crimson Sea. This means that surviving tends to be a lot of luck, as the rains will just come through randomly. Hoyt, the narrator, also explains that the rains weave like ribbons across the sky and look very pretty at night with the moons in the background as they create rainbows. Tress starts to get concerned about what she had gotten the crew into, as she asks if the Midnight Sea also has these random rains. Crow says it does, but even if it rains hundreds of meters away, the creatures created by the Midnight Spores are controlled by the sorceress, and they'll swarm any ships that enter the Midnight Sea. She then dismisses Tress as the Dugs had finished stalking the ship from the port. So what do you think about how the rain works on Tress's planet?
I what if like the sorceress is just like a victim to all these stories?
She's not actually the bad guy? Yeah.
Yeah, like what if she's just like fuck, like I didn't mean to like I'm just trying to like survive in this Midnight Sea. I'm like stuck and nobody's helping me because I'm scared and they think I'm gonna like fuck them up.
Who knows? We might get to meet her at some point.
Could also just be propaganda that, these people made up.
I mean, the king doesn't seem to like anyone being part of other countries. He might, maybe he's like made all these rumors up about her so that no one tries to go visit her.
Propaganda.
What if it's his wife, his ex-wife?
This is the old queen. He just abandoned her in the Midnight Sea.
Yep, and then gave her son back to her.
Oh, well, that wouldn't be his son. Charlie was
But,
the
yeah,
son of a random
the son of
lord.
some other random person. But
Yeah. Yeah, did you guys ever think about how like rain might work here, considering how the fucking
No.
spores work?
I just figured it didn't rain, but
So apparently it doesn't in most places.
How does that cycle? I'm assuming would steam no, it wouldn't, right? Would steam like work to activate spores?
Maybe. We know that like sweat and stuff does, and tears.
Yeah, but that's like actual liquid form though.
Yeah. I don't know if how much moisture it takes to actually activate them, because like there's obviously moisture in the air too, and that's not
Right.
activating them. See, I don't know what the level
I'm gonna say it
concentration of
follows
moisture.
the logic of like the three like, states of matter or whatever, right?
Where it has to be liquid water.
Yeah, or gas, right? But it has to be liquid for that.
For it to be absorbed by the
What
spores.
what if like the way the rain works here is just like normal, but there are oceans underneath the layer of spores and it's just steam coming up, right?
Who knows, yeah. It's also interesting
And
how
then
like
that's
the
why,
rain comes in like these like Northern Lights-esque ribbons.
maybe it has to do with that though.
Maybe.
And also like that's why maybe it's like only in certain parts, because like that's where the oceans are underneath.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe Tress is technically in the middle of a landlocked area. She just doesn't know it. Like originally, and that's why it doesn't rain there.
We gotta like figure out if it rains on like any of the islands.
Well, we've been told, Tress is told at some point, I think by Charlie's letters or something, that some of the other islands have like lakes and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Like mountain, like mountain spring lakes.
I guess so. But like, yeah, so you have to kind of think like where does that water come from and go? Because like, how does the lake just not get drained out?
I'd be a famous scientist if I was there.
So
I'd definitely be dead, but I'd be one of those dead famous ones. Yeah.
I see. So we get to chapter 36, The Explorer, where Crow follows Tress out of the cabin and keeps an eye on her until they are far enough from the port that Tress definitely can't escape. Tress then hurries back to her cabin so she isn't seen crying. Huck is there and begins asking her what's wrong, threatening to bite the toes of whomever made her cry. Tress overstates that she's at fault for her own crying, as she is going to be traded to a dragon so that Crow can be healed from her spore sickness. Huck then bites her big toe in response. After that, Huck tries to cheer her up by telling her about how he went ashore at the port for a while. He talks about how he saw Fort haggling, and how he got way more money than he should have for the cloth that he had sold. He then watched Fort go to meet up with some other deaf people and speak to them in sign language. Huck also mentions how the island hadn't flown the king's flag, even though the king generally boasts that there are no rogue islands and they all follow him. So, do you think that the whole planet is under rule of this one king, or are there other countries?
No, there's definitely other countries. Oh my god, the fucking witch is a queen. Like actually.
She's got her own country, and he just hasn't told anyone because he's like, how dare there be another country?
Right, yeah. That's
I'm
exactly
king
what
of
I'm
this
thinking.
planet.
I am king of Tress.
The planet is not called Tress, the planet's called Lumar.
I know. I'm her king specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're her. Are you her short king?
I'm not short. I'm perfectly average height.
Same.
Perfectly average.
Okay, you're short.
I'm not short. I'm perfectly
Stay in your lane,
average.
4 foot.
I'm perfectly average if I go to some countries.
Yeah, you're perfectly average for a race that you are not.
Look, we don't need to talk about race, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? That's the funnest topic.
Because I can be perfectly
Funny.
average in certain countries.
Hmm.
So Huck is talking. Huck talking is helping Tress, so she encourages him to tell her more about the island. He mentions all sorts of things like a bell tower with 53 bells, a nice smelling garden, and a spiral cobblestone path. Afterwards, they reminisce about the past and how easy life seemed when they were younger. Now that Tress was feeling better, she decides she needs to work on trying to solve her problem. She needs to find a way to protect herself from Crow. So, what do you think about Huck trying to cheer Tress up with some stories about the island?
At least they're trying. It's the thought that counts. So.
I would have thrown that right off the fucking boat.
So let me get chapter 37, The Scholar. And Tress quickly begins going through the previous spreader's items and notes with more intensity than before, trying to find anything she could use to help her. Tress goes through Weave's notes, and just as she is trying to think she won't find anything helpful, she finds a diagram of one of the regular cannonballs that it seemed Crow had wanted Weave to try making himself. It had an explanation regarding how the timer in the cannonball used a verdant spore to make a vine that would push a plug with silver on it through the other end into a rosite spear that's covered in wax that held water and eventually released into zephyr spores. So what do you think about how these super fucking intricate cannonballs?
I mean, that's the part that I thought was really cool. I was thinking to myself, man, how cool would it be to put every spore together in some way?
It just seems so complex. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds
Mm-hmm.
so hard to like get right.
If anybody's gonna do it, though, Tress will.
Right.
So Tress instantly begins to think of all sorts of things, such as modular guns and such that could be used with this combination of spores. She also sees a note on the page about flare guns, which gets her very excited. Before she can find the page on flare guns, though, she hears a knock on her door. She hurriedly opens the door to find Fort had come to bring her dinner, since she hadn't shown up at her usual time. Tress is shocked that so much time had passed. Tress then also asks about the food and learns that Fort and the other crew members are all apparently terrible at cooking. Tress says she can repay Fort by helping him learn how to cook better with the meager ingredients that they have. She tells him to get her before he begins cooking for dinner tomorrow. They are then interrupted by the ringing of a bell that Fort states signals an upcoming boarder. She follows him up to the deck to view the border crossing. So what did you think about Fort coming to check on her and bring her dinner?
Aw, adorable.
The real question is, why is she not taking over cooking duties by herself?
She's got too much shit to deal with to also
I don't
cook
know why.
anything.
Why didn't she choose to do cooking instead of working with spores?
Well, because she just always assumed he was giving her like the fucking bottom of the pan like horribleness, not realizing that he was actually saving some of the best parts for her. She thought she was
Not
getting
not
terrible
only
food on purpose.
not only that though, like I'm saying that because like you could literally win the whole ship's trust simply by
Right?
cooking good food.
You start making some
And then
actual good food that's not like making you gag every
Oh.
time you eat it.
right, and if you take the full responsibility of it instead of teaching someone how to fucking do it, they're gonna need you even more. Like what?
They're like, you can let me stay and I'll cook, or you can starve and suffer.
You gotta take the drug dealer mentality and give them a sample and then be like, all right, now you gotta pay for it.
So let me get to chapter 38, The Apprentice. Tress goes up to the top deck where she can see the verdant moon low in the distance in one direction and the crimson moon low in the distance on the opposite direction. Where the two seas met was a gradient of the two spores that from a distance looked like brown in the middle. Tress had only ever known the verdant sea, so the color looked wrong to her. Tress can't help but feel both excited and terrified as she stares out at the crimson sea. Fort finds it strange that she's grinning. However, as she stares out at it, a ribbon of rain appears at alarming speed, bringing up a wall of interlocking crimson spikes that clack together loudly. Sally veers the ship away from the border for a moment as the rain goes past, staying on the crimson side of the border. Crow then calls for them to go along the border for a time before crossing into the Crimson Sea. So what do you think of them already coming across rain when they've not even crossed into the Crimson Sea yet?
I mean, danger. It's dangerous. Go ahead, take this.
What do you think, Darkness, about the rain coming?
Uh, it doesn't cross over, huh?
It did not. It seemed to follow the border.
That's so weird. And then the spores don't mix either, do they?
So they do. It says they form a gradient in the middle where they are mixing. From a distance, it looks brown because it's a mixture of green and red spores, and because of how small they
Okay.
are. So there's not actually like brown spores there. It's just because they're so mixed up together, it looks brown when you're like looking from afar.
Huh.
So Legert then approaches Tress, calling for her to follow him to the cannon. Tress is worried he is going to confront her about switching out the cannonballs. However, he doesn't confront her. Instead, he tells her that he wants her to learn how to use the cannon, since everyone else on the ship is useless. He shows her how to load a cannonball into the cannon and places the Zephyr spore pouch. Tress asks if the captain knew he was training her, and he said he was in charge of the cannon himself. So what do you think about Legert forcing Tress to learn how to use the cannon?
I mean, they need to know how to use the cannon, so
Watch her come
I
in
don't think
so
it's a bad idea.
handy. She's gonna be like the key component in a battle.
Mm-hmm.
So Tress realizes he doesn't know about the captain's plan to trade her to the dragon, and that the most likely reason for this is because Legert is her backup trade, since he also technically spends time around spores to use the cannon. Legert then
Mm-hmm.
tells her to practice 5 times a day with the cannon before walking away without giving her further instructions. Tress calls after him about potentially training with a flare gun first, but Legert calls that stupid, as flare guns and cannons are nothing alike. So what did you think about Tress realizing here that Lagert's the backup trade?
I mean, yeah, makes sense.
She's
She
like,
had
I'm
to
so.
have some idea of. She had to have some idea of who she was going to trade when she got there. Like she didn't
Well,
just
I mean,
come
when
up with
she
this
killed,
plan.
yeah, when she killed the one guy for trying to
Yeah,
blackmail her, she had to have a backup. Because otherwise, you're
yeah,
not going to kill
exactly.
the one guy. You're going to like imprison him or something.
Mm-hmm. And then feed him to a dragon.
So Tress wants to spend her time studying and experimenting instead, as she needs to figure out Hoyd's curse and how to get out of being traded to the dragon. She eventually figures out that the best way to do this and sets off a cannonball so that Anne shows up. So then we get chapter 39, The Chicken Keeper. So as Anne begins explaining to Tress how to use the cannon, she mentions how you have to account for the length of the fuse so that it explodes just before hitting the ship. Tress says having a cannonball that explodes when it hits the ship would be better, but Anne says that those don't exist. Tress thinks that based on the book she had been reading, someone was at least working on, if not had figured it out already. So what do you think about how difficult shooting cannonballs is without the impact-based explosions?
Is it that difficult though?
Well, there's like this extra component. You don't just have to figure out like how to aim it properly. You've also got to time it based on like the individual cannonball's fuse.
Meh. It's not that hard.
I don't know. I don't think I could do it. That feels really difficult to me.
I'll just pick up the cannonballs and throw them myself. The fuck? I got this.
Tristan asks why Anne is so obsessed with cannons and guns. Anne asks her to guess, and Tress states that Fort had thought it was a control thing because maybe Anne had been a slave as a child. Anne disputes this, saying she grew up on a chicken farm. Tristan says that Sally thought that Anne wanted to be taken more seriously and viewed guns as a form of power. Anne just says that Sally is a terrible judge of people. Tristan admits that she also asked Ulam, and he had given an explanation that she didn't really understand about the shape of guns and also cigars for some reason. Anne just laughs in response to this. Anne then explains that she just finds guns interesting. She gets Tress to relate to this by mentioning how people collect and enjoy other items. And Tress relates this to cups and how it isn't a single cup that is interesting to her, but how all cups are different from each other. Anne agrees that this is how she is with guns. Anne then mentions how she joined the militia the day she became of age so she could fire cannons, but she only lasted 24 days. She also mentions an incident where she shot a cannonball, it bounced, and ended up hitting her sergeant who had been behind her in the barracks. So what do you think?
Hilarious.
Yup. So what do you think about how obsessed Anne is with cannons and guns, and also how bad she is with them?
That's how I am with soccer.
You kick the
So
soccer ball and it somehow goes into your own net.
no, yeah, no, it would if I would be standing in front of it. That's the thing, though, because I remember this. The couple of times I actually tried to play it, I would kick the ball and it would go backwards, like over my head. So I'm just like, okay, this is not my sport.
We should have played soccer when I came.
I fucking hate soccer. Never.
So Anne then gives Tress a couple more tips about practicing with the cannon, and Tress begins to feel guilty. She asks Anne if she wants to try shooting the cannon, which Hoyt narrates as the stupidest thing he had ever heard, and he had been part of a secret plot to kill God. Anne asks if Tress is sure, and that Laggert will be mad, but Tress says that Laggert said he wasn't going to help her, so she went to another expert. Anne then begins adjusting the
Wait,
cannon,
but
and
didn't that actually work though? that secret plot.
We'll get to that. I have a note about it afterwards. I just want to finish this little paragraph. So Anne then begins adjusting the cannon and is extremely far off. Tress helps her adjust the cannon correctly, and Anne surprisingly does a decent shot. Anne thanks Tress for proving that she isn't cursed and just has absolutely terrible aim. Tress suggests that Anne comes to join her when she practices from now on. So yeah, what did you think about Hoyd's statement of he was part of a secret plot to kill God?
Yeah,
So
and
is that-
it worked.
What did you say, Darkness?
This was that plot to shatter Adonasium, right?
Yeah. So, but he admits here that first of all, obviously it was a secret plot, so it's not like the whole planet
And it was stupid.
agreed on it. Yeah, he says it was stupid. He obviously no longer thinks that it was a good idea. And then also, the plan was specifically to kill God. It wasn't just shatter him and make a bunch of gods. It wasn't to do this or that. It was specifically to kill him.
Yeah.
I just find that very interesting.
Everybody thinks they can do better until they try something and then realize they can't.
Maybe it was less about doing better and more about freedom. Because if the plan was to kill God, then...
And now he also thinks that it was a stupid plan. He's like, I no longer, these thousands of years later, agree with this. He's like, this was a terrible idea we had. We should not have done this.
I mean, I agree. They shouldn't have done it, but...
Because I think he's been seeing how everything's being handled by the different shards, and he's like, I don't think this is better.
No.
Definitely.
For all we know, it definitely was at least, it could have been, it was either the same or it was better when Adonasium was around. Because Hoyd is, no longer a fan of taking out Adonasium.
Unfortunately, human beings need somebody to tell them what to do.
So Tress then asks...
Human beings.
Beans.
Human beans. Yeah, beans.
Yep.
Beans. Human beans.
Tress then asks Anne if the ship has a flare gun, which Anne says that all ships do in case they get stranded or to surrender to pirates. Anne then says that Fort should know where it is. Anne then heads off, and Tress tries a few more shots before finishing up her practice for the day. As she does, the ship finally begins heading into the Crimson Sea. So what do you think Tress wants a flare gun for?
To enact whatever the heck that thing was in the notes.
She wants to put on a fireworks show.
A fireworks show? Maybe that'll call the dragon to them, or the sorceress.
That'd be great. I mean, that wouldn't.
What if she wants to fire it into Crow?
Maybe.
And that maybe burn away the spores.
Maybe she's like, if I infect her with multiple types of spore, they'll all go to war with each other.
Exactly.
What would happen? What the heck? No.
Yeah, she's gotta collect all the Thanos stones, you know?
Oh my god, the Infinity Stones.
So then we get our overview questions. First of all, do you think we're actually going to see the dragon in this book, or is Tress going to somehow stop Crow from going to see the dragon?
If we don't see the dragon, I'm gonna quit.
You're gonna quit if we don't meet the dragon?
No, because what the fuck is the point of bringing up a dragon multiple times and then revealing that it's a thing and then not showing us the fucking dragon?
So you both think the dragon's gonna show up?
If it doesn't, like I said, I'm done.
Yeah, and then I think she's gonna give Crow up.
And then Tress becomes captain.
Yep, I'll be the captain, and I'll go into the Crimson or the Emerald Sea or Midnight Sea. Sorry. Yep,
They've already been to the Emerald Sea.
Yeah, whatever. They'll go to the Midnight Sea, and they will
find me.
Fight the sorceress. No, you're the whole sea.
I am the whole sea. I am every single spore in that sea.
Exactly.
So do you think Tress is going to be able to break Hoyd's curse?
Yes. Obviously.
Wait.
Okay. Obviously, his curse is broken now, so.
I mean, yeah, but we're not saying that. He doesn't say that Tress specifically broke it. Maybe he figured it out on his own or something.
It's Tress. Tress is.
No, it was the dragon.
The main protagonist. Oh, yeah, there you go. That too. Could be the dragon.
They actually trade the captain to break Hoyd's curse so that he can leap into the sorceress.
100%.
That
Good plan, right?
That's that's not a bad idea.
So do you think Tress will be able to go see the sorceress, or are we just never gonna get there? Because like Mythic said, like there was maybe like another way, like maybe she'll convince the dragon to get Charlie back for her or something.
Charlie's such a. No offense to all the Charlies out there, but Charlie's such a stupid name for a
Mind
fucking like.
Charlie.
Oh no, they took Charlie. Let me go
It's
get
better than
him.
like Bob.
But I would have loved Bob.
I fucking hate the name Bob. It sounds so dumb.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, that's what
But
you
Charlie, like,
name a kid that has no arms and legs when you throw him in the water.
Oh my god. What do you think though, Mythic? Do you think they're actually going to end up seeing the sorceress, or do you think they're going to find a different way to rescue Charlie?
I mean, I think they're gonna find the sorceress. Yeah, I think she's definitely gonna make a debut.
And then my final question is: do you think Tress will be able to rescue Charlie?
Yes.
what if Charlie doesn't want to leave?
Charlie actually does marry the sorceress. He's just like, nah, I've got a wife now.
And
I mean,
all my kids,
think about it, right? Think about
and
it.
all
Right?
my midnight kids.
What would he go back to?
Tress.
Yeah, but if Tress is there, right?
You think maybe Tress will stay with him?
Trust
I
becomes
feel
the
like he'd be
sorceress.
like, "Look at this place. This place is great. Why don't you stay
Look
with
at this
us?"
Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think our collection's complete?
Yes, just stay with us. Live your life here. You can be someone.
Who knows?
There's nothing waiting for us back there.
I mean, there's definitely nothing really waiting for Charlie if Tress is there. Tress does have her parents and her brother.
Nah,
Right.
nothing's waiting for Tress.
But Charlie's not gonna see that.
Charlie's like, bring your family out here.
He got like the easy passageway there. Like
Right.
the fucking chest pulls up with like a missing eye, like the eye patch and everything.
She's got a
She's
parrot.
got like, yeah, she's got like the fucking full on pirate look and everything.
Peg leg.
Maybe a peg leg or two. And then Charlie's just sitting there in a fucking like cushioned chair. He's like, "Hey."
Just sipping
God
some
damn it.
tea. But yeah, so that is the end of my questions. Do you guys have any other thoughts or theories for the end of these chapters?
The oceans are real. They're underneath us.
Mhm.
What if the dragons are thirsty too?
Maybe the dragon has access to water down there.
I'm surprised. I wonder if the spores that like affect the dragons. They should be able to use them, right?
What do you mean?
The dragons, the spores.
Like the spores should still affect them? You mean? Because I think as far as I know, the dragons still need water. They're just like another living creature.
Right. So.
I think the spores would work for the dragon the same way they do work for people.
Mhm.
So like shadow clone dragons.
He could have dragon shadow
Dragon,
clone.
dragon.
I
He just
can't
dragon.
say. Shadow clone dragons. I can speak.
Dragons. No, that's a good name for them.
They're Shrek dragons.
No.
That's what I thought of.
Oh my God, she lives in a fucking swamp.
The dragon is green. No, but he's not in the verdant sea. He's in the crimson sea.
No, I was talking about Tress.
Oh, Tress lives in the swamp. So next episode we'll be doing chapters 40 to 53.
And you gonna mark it this time for us?
I always pin it.
Mm-mm.
So we only got 2 more episodes left. It's gonna be a 5-episode book. So we got this one and then 1 more afterwards, and we're done the book.
If I don't see a dragon, the witch, and all the fucking questions we have answered within these next 2
episodes.
Oh my God.
I just love. There's in the final episode. There's a chapter called "The Maligned Fashion Expert." I just love that. But yeah, so yeah, we're doing, what is that, 14 chapters for next time. So yeah, thank you to everyone for listening. We really appreciate you, and thank you to our patrons, Hubris, Kaladin Dies in Book 3, Kyle, and Danny the Spoon Lord. We appreciate you very
Lord.
much. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.